вот уже треть жителей США в возрасте от 18 до 24 лет верят, что Земля плоская, а почти 15% американцев в возрасте за 30 с ними согласны.
Никому не нравится чувство, что мы находимся на маленьком шарике, который несется сквозь Вселенную. Да, закроют программы с астрофизическим и космическим уклоном. Оставшиеся естественные науки, как биология, геология, океанология, археология и другие, должны быть полностью обновлены.
Hold him. Now you listen to me, you hillbilly punk who thinks the world's still round. I'm here to tell you it's not. It's flat!
He's an interesting guy, man, and, you know, he believes it, so. Kyrie, the Earth is flat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, whatever.
Earth is flat, that's news.
That's news. Here we go.
You must unite what has been set asunder.
We are TFR, Truth Frequency Radio.
Broadcasting straight to you from a large spaceship currently at war with the mainstream scientific community. Meanwhile, the Peanut Gallery is monitoring all the radio frequencies in, since SETI evidently has turned their locally to the flat Earth debates. I think he's missing a word or two, but that's okay. I'm going to forgive him. He hasn't been feeling well. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Strange World, where the truth is often stranger than fiction. I'm your host, Mark Sargent, the creator of Flat Earth Clues, which proposed that all of us are living inside a Truman Show enclosed structure thousands of miles wide. Check it out at enclosedworld.com or just Google Flat Earth Clues. If you can't find it, you're just not very good at the internet. For those of you listening to this on YouTube, you want to hear the show live as it happens, please go to Truth Frequency Radio for the latest schedule. Currently, the show is on Tuesday nights at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. And if it is not June 12th, 2018, you are listening to a rerun. Quote of the day goes a little something like this: a mind is like a parachute. It doesn't work if it isn't open. That's from Frank Zappa, of all people. Go figure. Look him up if you forgot who that guy was. The Mark Sargent 2018 Flat Earth Challenge is in effect. This is my personal declaration of war from Flat Earth against mainstream science. I, Mark Sargent, hereby put forth a challenge to any university, foreign or domestic, to loan me a NASA-approved self-contained spacesuit, put me in a vacuum chamber, and pull the switch. For more information on this, please check out Flat Earth Clues 13, The Lost Nail. Tonight is not a subject matter expert night, but we do have a guest. And I'm going to introduce him in just a minute. I just want to read off the list of the subject matter experts we have had in the past. So if anyone wants to come after them or join along, I'll take them either way. You can just email me at msargent23@comcast.net. Deep breath. Here we go. United States Navy missile instructor, United States Air Force navigator, a Marine Corps sniper instructor, a Navy submarine chief, an Army artillery radar operator, an Australian intelligence officer, an American flight instructor, an industrial engineer specializing in valves and seals, a career surveyor of 32 years, an international shipping expert, a corporate travel agent, an air traffic controller, United States Army master gunner, aviation and ground training combat expert, USDA surveyor of 27 years, 32nd degree Mason, etheric science researcher, commercial airline captain, an airline co-pilot, an industrial vacuum expert, a merchant marine, United States Army air traffic controller, a Navy navigator, and a Navy electronic warfare technician. They've all said the same thing. We've all heard about the curvature of the Earth. We've all heard about it spinning. It is never used in their 9-to-5 jobs. Anyway, that being said, I spent a wonderful weekend, and we're going to talk about now with a great group of Flat Earth people. One of them is on the line making some noise, and his name is Nathan Gonzalez. Nathan, are you with us right this second?
Yeah, I am. Sorry about that, Mark.
Oh, no worries at all. It is just you and me. So, and this is your first time on this show, and it was our first. I believe. Did you meet me at the Pasadena meetup as well?
Yes, we met there.
We met at the Pasadena meetup. Perfect.
Yeah.
And
I had
well,
my
let's.
family with me.
That's right. You're absolutely right.
All the kids and everything.
That's right. That was you.
Yeah.
Awesome. And we had a great time at the Pasadena meetup, but this Arcadia meetup down in Los Angeles was crazy. There was 100 people there, and the National Geographic was there. They had a full team. CBS national team was there as well. And Rob Skiba showed up, and Nathan Thompson, and Patricia Steer, and myself, and Aaron, and Lucy, and Josh Uber. It was just a full contingency. That was great. That was on Friday when we did that, and that was a blast. Dan the Waterman arranged to have one of Chris Pontius's domes there.
Models.
One of his models there. That was fantastic,
Yeah.
and you know, it battery powered, lit up. It was beautiful, perfect lighting for it. Totally love that. And then Saturday we got to do some fun stuff, which I may talk about later offline with some people. And then Sunday, of course, the big reason. Well, it wasn't the big reason, but it was one of the reasons. The National Geographic was there. They were there for the meetup, but they were also there for the Skeptics test, which was going to be done at the Salton Sea first thing on Sunday morning. And I honestly, and I think you and I talked about this because we were driving around for a little bit, was that I didn't think that many flat earthers would get up that early. I didn't expect them to either. I mean, you know, we're talking fishing hours here. You know, get up at the crack of existence. And but when I went out there, so what the deal is, I'm going to set this up for you. What the deal was is we went out there really, really early. The test was supposed to go off at 5:30 in the morning, and it didn't. But by the time it was done, we must have had, I don't know, 30 between our side of the lake and the other side of the lake. We must have had 30 flat earthers there, and then there was an 8-man team from National Geographic. There was some local news, and then I think the other team had about, I don't know, what, 5, less than 10, or do you think they had like 10 guys?
Well, can you hear me, Mark?
Yeah.
I think they probably had about 10, like in the blue shirts, maybe. And
yeah. That's
probably
what I call.
about another 10, like volunteers at least.
Right. Oh yeah. It was tough. It was tough to tell who was who, really. Some of them were wearing. I call them the blue shirts. Not to be confused with the TSA blue shirts. Those guys are completely different from these guys. These guys were in like blue kind of polo shirts that were matching, and the lead guy was Jim Underdown, just like it sounds. And Underdown, who usually specializes in the paranormal. He specializes in debunking ghosts and debunking psychics and stuff like that. So if you're a fortune teller, he's probably got your number. So this was a bit out of his wheelhouse, and I had no doubt that he was trying to jump on this because Flat Earth, you know, not to steal from the movie Zoolander, it's so hot right now that everyone's going to jump on it, and he's like, why not?
Right.
So the test kind of. Do you mind kind of breaking down what they were trying to do and where their equipment was set up on both sides?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no problems. So.
And be loud, by the way.
Okay. So, I was on the west side of the Salton Sea, and we had the balloons set up. We had two very large, probably like 5-6 foot tall white weather balloons. And then on the east side, that's where you guys were, the observation side. That's where they had all the telescopes and everything. But we got there at like 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:15. And originally I was expecting for them to have everything set up and like ready to go, because from my understanding, we were supposed to get started at like 5:30, like as the sun was like coming up or about to come up, so we could beat the heat. But yeah, we actually got there before their team with the balloons and everything. Like it was all deconstructed, so we had to help them unload everything and help them assemble it, and then help them blow up the balloons. And yeah, we were what they say, like 9.6 miles away from the coast from
about
each other.
9.6.
Yeah. And so the experiment was, the observational side. You guys they were on the shoreline, right? What about like 4 feet off the ground, 6 feet?
Yeah, one camera initially was at 2 and one was at 6.
Okay. Yeah. So the idea was, obviously, if there's curvature, they did the calculations and everything, and they said that they wouldn't be able to see the balloons until they were 36 feet up off the ground.
Right.
In the air. And they were so confident about it too. We won't be seeing anything till at least 36 feet.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, we'll see.
Right.
I was very confident, what was going to happen. But and do you want me to tell them about how the test went? Like
sure. Yeah, let's.
Should we get into it right now? Or?
I can set it up for them real quick.
Okay.
Which is, just so you guys know where we were. You can look this up. It's east of Los Angeles. Well, actually, it's east of everything. It's like halfway between San Diego and Los Angeles. It's like equal driving distance from both those places. There's this dead sea out there called the Salton Sea, which used to be kind of a big thing way, way back in the day, but now it's just this toxic lake with a fish species that is adapted and a pelican species that is adapted to eat them. And the day before, I think it was like at 105, 107, something like that out there. And it was brutal. And even when we were driving to it when we left the hotel at 4 something in the morning, it was 70 something degrees pushing. Yeah, it was warm.
It was warm. It was very warm.
And people and I knew full well, and then I'll let you run with this. I knew full well that this particular test was going to be what we've done this test a million times, because warm weather is a killer. We're talking about heat waves. If you're listening to this for the first time, we're talking about what heat waves do to a hot road versus a cold road. If you're on a hot road, a car goes off into the distance, not even a mile, and it's going to dissipate into the heat distortion. No different on the water. It's just, and that I knew exactly what they were going to do. We were going to see heat distortion, and they were going to say, no, that distortion is actually the curvature of the Earth. So anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so like I said, they got there late, so already right off the bat, I'm like, okay, we'll see how the rest of this goes. Not a great start.
Right. Yeah.
So we help them unload. We help them assemble everything. And as I'm assembling everything, I'm just looking at the material that they're using. It just kind of looks janky, really. Yeah.
It was a low rent production, no question. It was. They were working off of vapors and spider webs. There's not a lot of money spent here.
Yeah. So a gentleman that I actually met on Friday at the meetup, his name's Wendell. He was there like when we were there, and he had bought a P90 the Nikon P900 the day before for this whole thing, and so he was there too, and I had my friend Jason with me, and me and Jason were like straight into it, just helping everybody and putting everything together.
Right.
So we got everything set up, balloons inflated, and we're ready to go. And they have one of their guys on the phone with their people, and I could hear him trying to like describe, where they're supposed to be looking.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, like, they don't know where we're at, like,
right.
I think a thorough, I think a well thought out plan, you should probably know where you want to look, like, when you're doing this experiment,
Yeah. But still, I mean, not to use the rookie mistake, but we've all run into it. It's like everyone starts out the same way, which is, okay, we'll do some long distance photography. But if you're on the other side, you don't know what landmarkers. It's like, well, look, it's this freaking telephone pole, but a telephone pole looks completely different from 5-7 miles away.
Right.
Because you're like, oh, no, you're trying to figure out where it is. And so the guy on the other side, you're kind of trying to walk him through it. And it's not easy.
Yeah. I mean, personally, if I would have done it, I would have been on both sides the day before.
Absolutely.
We got you. We can see you. We know exactly where you're at.
Yeah.
Take all the markers, all the cues that you can. And then that way you go back the next day, you know exactly where you're going.
Yep. Yeah. You always rehearse. It's called a dry run for a reason, folks.
Yeah.
You rehearse it. This is why we rehearse, people. Anyway, go ahead.
Preparation, victory.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So this guy's he's totally just lost. I could tell he's struggling. And the worst part is that he's on the phone with one hand and he's got the rope in the other hand.
Right.
The rope for the balloon, like there's two main ropes and he's on one of them and he's just kind of holding it like a kid holding a kite that's like limp in the air, you know what I mean? And I'm like, man, he's gonna lose the rope, these balloons are gonna fly away, the whole thing's gonna be done and over with,
right,
experiment over. But and I was frustrated because the whole reason, I was there to make sure that they were doing what they were supposed to do and that they weren't trying to pull anything funny, and me and Wendell, the gentleman that I just met on Friday, were the only flat earthers on that side. So I'm like, I got a lot to take in and I'm trying to figure everything, but I could tell this guy's struggling.
Yeah.
And I'm getting frustrated. So they tried to get him up. They couldn't find him. They brought him back down because they were going to put more air into the balloons because the wind was it was already going crazy. By the time we had it assembled, it was already daytime.
Yeah.
The heat was already coming in.
Yeah. The sun. Yeah. That was the big thing. If they would have started the test anytime before 5:30, it would have been way more, at least easier to manage. But once that sun hit the water, I mean, we're ramping up fast.
Yeah. Those winds kicked up like instantly as soon as that hot air came in and cold air, and it was all crazy. So the balloons were flying around like kites. So they're like, okay, let's put more air into it, and then we'll try it again.
Right.
So they bring them down, and I'm just frustrated. So I go over to one of the other guys who was like, he wasn't in charge, but he seemed like he was like the second in command kind of. And I told him like, hey man, this guy on the rope on the corner, he's on his cell phone. He's not paying attention to what's going on. He's not listening to instructions. Like, I'm going to take over on that side.
Yeah.
And he can do his thing, and we'll, that way he doesn't have to do two things at one time.
Right.
And he can focus on trying to get this found because obviously they're struggling.
Right.
And so we did that, took over, get the balloons back up in the air, and it's the same thing. He's just totally clueless. They're all clueless, trying to find it.
Yeah. And
so finally, I just had enough. I was like frustrated. I was actually trying to get Lucy and Angel to the dock at the same time while I'm holding the rope, and they were lost. They were trying to find it, and then finally, I was just like, you know what? I need to do something. And so I start talking to Wendell, like, how can we do something? Like, what can we do?
Right.
And he starts like picking my brain, like, okay, well, they're over there. And, he's just asking me questions like, what can, just the wheels start turning. And I'm thinking to myself, like, somebody on the other side has to have like a camera. Josh has a P9. He has the P900. I know he does.
Right.
So I called Josh and I'm like, hey bro, like, where are you? Are you by them? What's going on? Like, what do you have? What's right in front of you? And he's like, I got my P900, and I'm like pointed over somewhere where you guys are supposed to be, And he's just kind of looking, and so I got the idea. Hey, let's FaceTime you put your phone up to the camera and the viewfinder, and I'm gonna like guide you along and do exactly what I say. Like, I'm gonna tell you to zoom in, zoom out, left, right. Just try and be like, don't move the camera and stuff. Just be gentle and, you know, let's do it. So he shows me where he's at, and I'm looking behind me, and there's these like there's a giant mountain range behind us, and we're like the very end of it.
Okay.
And then behind us, there's like a smaller mountain, maybe a mile or two away or whatever. So I saw that, and then I told him, you know, okay, zoom all the way out. Let me see all the way out. So he zooms all the way out, and then I could see the mountain, or he zooms in a little bit more so I can see the mountains. And I see the small one and the big one. So I tell him, okay, look right in between the small mountain and the big mountain. Should have zoom in right there, and then go down, and
perfect.
And let's see what's going on. Okay, so he does that. Boom, boom, boom. Zooms in, and I see cars, like driving on a straight line. And I look, and there's a highway like behind us, like a mile. You know, maybe not even like a mile. It's behind us, but I can see the cars. And I look at the screen, and I'm seeing the same cars that he's seeing on the viewfinder.
Perfect.
So immediately I'm like, boom, okay, we're really close. Like, he's looking at the highway, so let's go down. We're gonna go down, start going slow, and we're doing it. And I tell him, like, keep going, and having him zoom in, zoom out, so I can see like any kind of visual markers. And then finally we're going, and then he's like, oh, there you are. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? You can see us now? Like, he's like, yeah, I see it. I see the balloons. So. And
insert the punchline here, though.
The punchline is, you know, they said that they wouldn't be able to see those balloons until they were 36 feet up.
Yeah. But
the balloons were still on the ground.
With you guys.
With us.
Yeah, that's.
I was standing right next to the balloons, and I was thinking to myself too, like, today I was thinking, man, I wonder if he was zoomed in all the way. Like, I wonder if he would have kept zooming, if he would have been able to see like the back of my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And so I called him. I talked to him today. I'm like, hey, bro, were you like zoomed in all the way when we found us? And he's like, no, I wasn't even like, not even close. And I'm like, oh man, you probably could have seen like so much more. Because I mean, I looked at as I'm looking at my phone, and tell me to find it. And I look at it, and he's like, do you see it? And I look at it, and it's just perfect 2 white dots right on the screen. I'm like, yep, got it. And immediately in my mind, I'm like, that's it, we're done, that's it, we saw it, they're there, and they're on the ground, you know. And the whole time when I was guiding him, you know, the guys in the blue shirt started like creeping up behind me, like, what's this guy doing? Right. And the guy on the phone, he's like, hold on, somebody's up to something. Like, oh, okay, this guy's FaceTime. And he's like, maybe we should try that. You know, they're like, he's trying to do it at the same time.
Right.
And the guy who was in charge, I think his name's David, he's like, what's he doing? And Wendell tells him, oh, well, he's FaceTiming, and he's got a guy with a P900 on the other side, and he's trying to like basically zero it in on the target, you know?
Yeah.
And David's like, you know, what kind of camera does he have? And he's like, a P900, and he's like, oh, so like the quality is probably not that great, huh? On a P900, and Wendell's like, well, it's like 82 zoom or something.
83, I think.
And and he's like, oh, but it's digital, so that might not like all be real.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like okay, so I'm like thinking, great, this is fantastic, and we have it down still. And I know we have it, so I'm like, all right, Josh, go find Nathan Thompson, go tell him you got it, and show them like where we're at, like tell them so they can find us, we can get going, you know, we got it, let's go, let's do it. And so Josh is trying to find them. I call Nathan, I tell Nathan, hey, go find Josh. He's got a visual, we got eyes. And so then we're holding it And I asked the guy, like, hey, should we like let it up now? And David's like, no, don't let it up. Like, we want to make sure they can see it, and then we'll let it up. And I'm like, all right, yeah, that's a great idea. You know, make sure they got it. Fantastic. And so we're waiting for them, and you can, oh my God, Mark, I heard them talking, and the other punchline, I mean, the best part is, like, I didn't know if we had any of this on camera, and we ended up getting it all on camera. So you can hear them talking in the background. He's like, what do you mean they can see it? There's curvature. They can't see it.
This is the footage, and I know I've been trying to play catch up today because I just got back myself from the Los Angeles thing. But that's the footage I want to send off to National Geographic, because by the time they actually, and whether they drug their feet, and we'll continue this into the next segment. We got about 2.5 minutes in this one. Okay. By the time they got into the test, again, whether they deliberately delayed for as long as possible, the heat on that lake was ramping up so fast that you were losing shoreline every like 15 minutes. I was looking across, and it's like, oh, there goes another building. Yeah. You know, it was down the entire lake. I could see all the way down to the mountains to the south, and we were losing huge chunks of the mountains, right, as well.
Yeah, you said that mountain like shrunk in half, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah. It absolutely.
It was burning out there. I mean,
yeah,
I had a tank top on all day. And
you were. I had a black shirt, and because that was the request I got, and it wasn't great. Yeah. So, anyway, it was.
Sorry, this dog.
That's all right.
Jesus.
So to summarize before we go to the first break, this test wouldn't even have happened without us. We if you guys hadn't even helped them, they wouldn't even found the target.
Yeah, I mean, I briefly started watching some like debunking the Salton Sea experiment, whatever, and this guy was like trashing you and Rob because you didn't bring any equipment. Like, where's everybody's equipment?
We were told nothing.
Yeah, and it was the scientist guys' experiment. Like, they brought the gear, and I'm over here with my freaking iPhone and a P900 on the other side, and I accomplished what these guys couldn't. The Mr. Scientists were going to prove you guys wrong.
Right.
And it was sad.
I know.
And I love it. It was like,
the first thing, of course, the most obvious, and we'll get back into the video stuff in a minute. Well, actually, after the first break. But the thing that kills me is, like, look, they're making the mistakes. It's like, you're going live on camera for the first time with National Geographic, and you didn't even rehearse this. I mean, you had no idea. If it wasn't for us out there, you wouldn't have never found your target to begin with. Yeah. And then and you started so freaking late that by the time there was so much distortion, it was amazing you could see anything. I was actually surprised you could see the balloons at that height. Yeah. Anyway, we're going so stick with me, man, and for 3 minutes, and we will come back and we will talk.
All right. Yeah,
more about that. Okay.
Okay.
All right. There's the music.
Sorry about those dogs, Mark.
No worries.
No hate, no hype, no fear. We are TFR Frequency Radio.
Welcome back to Strange World Part 2 of 4. And we are on with Nathan Gonzalez, who was out at the Salton Sea Skeptics test with, I can't remember the name of the Blue Shirts group, but whatever.
IIG, I think.
IIG, yeah, run by a man named Jim Underdown, who, hey, at least he was a good sport about it, considering we were hammering on him pretty much most of the day. And the bulk of this, well, I shouldn't say the bulk of this test. This test will be summarized in a National Geographic show, which I don't think will air until October. So we have plenty of time to put all our ducks in a row. So where we left off was first the test started late. These guys tried to do it for the very first time live on camera. They were not prepared. They had a big team on one side of the lake. They had a smaller team on the other side of the lake with balloons holding up a big target. And we had people on both sides watching to see that they weren't doing anything tricky. And we were even helping them, even though, first off, we were not supposed to be in any way part of this test. We were literally just... You might want to mute that.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry about that.
We wanted to be there just as an observation. In fact, the whole thing started because Ross from Oh No, Ross and Carrie, the podcast that I did back in November, they wanted to convince me that the world wasn't flat, and I couldn't. I wasn't going to give in to them. So they came back and eventually came up with this test thing, and it was it was the worst place in the world to do this test, and I still wasn't going to go. I said, look, I'm not going to go. It's because you're going to do it in hot weather, and it's going to be awful. Even if they did it, unless they did it at 3 a.m. with lights, that's the only time they would have a chance in hell. But no. They waited until it was supposed to go off at 5:30. I don't think they did anything till after 7. By then the sun had already come up and this thing was starting to bake like a cake out there. And I knew it was going to be awful. And National Geographic got involved and they said, "Hey, we'd like to do a meetup. We'd like to go out and do other things out there." And so they got involved and it's like, okay, and they flew me in, which was great. But anyway, let's get back to your part. So you were on the other side of the lake initially with the balloons, and I was always wondering why you seemed so agitated when you came back over with the big group, because most of us were on this side. I mean, there was 50, 60 people on this side of the lake. You didn't have that many people over there. No. And if anyone missed what he said in the first part, what he's saying is they had the balloons in the ground that they were filling up with helium to lift the target, and they didn't know because they were ignorant, or they didn't expect to see it. But it's like, well, in order to find the people on the ground, you have to find them, right? So they zoomed in and they found them. The balloons were still on the ground, but that can't be possible because if there's a curvature of the earth, you should never see the beach on the other side. Ever. And they did, and we caught it. So anyway, so you're over there and they're doing the balloon thing. The wind's picking up because they're starting late and they're not having a good time. So you're helping them the best you can. Yeah. Then what?
So I ended up being able to guide. We had my friend on the other side with his P900, and I saw it.
You're breaking up a little bit.
Just a second. I dropped you.
Right.
Sorry, I dropped you.
That's okay.
Yep, and he found us. We did the job that they couldn't do themselves, and I'm going to call Jim underprepared from now on.
Yeah. That's good. I like that. Jim underprep.
Yeah, underprep. There you go.
Nice.
Yeah, so we got it, and I specifically they said don't raise it up until we have our guys find it, and so we held it down, and then finally they said, okay, they got it, we're ready to go ahead and lift it up. And so they did. And they had eyes on it. And then, so let me set this up. There was the shoreline, and then it was basically the same exact way your shore was. It was about 20, 30 feet, and there was those rocks, and then it went up to the benches, whatever
area, which was
to the parking lot.
8 feet, maybe.
Yeah,
if that.
If that,
maybe 7 feet. Yeah.
Yeah, and
that was as high as it goes.
Exactly. And we're on the same exact thing on the other side. So there was a slight raise in elevation from the observation height. Okay.
Right.
Full disclosure, we're doing it, you know. And we were slightly elevated as well on the other side. So the balloons were at that same height, but they were on the ground. So they saw him. End of story. They lifted him up. They saw him when we lifted him up, and then we started walking them towards the. And then as we got closer to the shore, they lost. I think they said they lost sight. I'm not sure, but I think they said they lost sight of the balloons.
Okay.
When we got down there.
Okay.
And by now it's blazing hot. You know, it's super hot.
Yeah. Yeah, because you guys were looking into the sun. The sun was at our backs.
Yeah.
But it was hitting you guys. Because you're on the west side of the lake looking east, and we're on the east side looking west.
East.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it was awesome watching the sunrise come out behind those mountains that you guys were at. It was, you know, start a little sliver peek through. Yeah. And then it was like, boom, it was there, you know, it just popped out. And I'm like, whoa, lights on. And so it was so hot, like after, I think about 10 minutes, like they lost us. So then we're like, okay, well, let's raise them up more. So we raised them up more. And then I think it wasn't that long after we continued the experiment that one of the balloons just exploded.
Really? The balloons started getting that hot that fast.
They just so hot that the balloon exploded.
Wow.
And I'm like, I mean, what time did we get over to the other side, Mark? Do you remember what time we were?
Not even 8 o'clock, was it?
Yeah, I don't think it was. I think it was like 7:50 by the time we got over there or something. And so set, like, you know, that early in the morning, these giant, you know, thick balloons, they're like 5-6 feet in diameter, just exploded. Right. And then they're like, okay, well, let's figure something out. Let's get trash bags or something and then inflate trash bags. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Trash bags? Really? You want to try and put like, you want to try and inflate trash bags?
Yeah, you're not going to be able to MacGyver your way out of this one.
Yeah. They're like, oh, well, I mean, we can try. And it's like, dude, you didn't bring a backup? There's no backup balloon? Like, this is all you brought? Like, again, underprepared. Like, completely underprepared. Yeah. And as we're there trying to figure out, boom, the other one pops, and that's it.
Oh, really? Both of them blew, and that was
both
of them
blew.
And they didn't talk. I don't remember. I don't think that was even talked about on film. That it got so hot over there in the first hour that both their balloons blew up.
Both of the balloons exploded. Yep.
And yet, oh yeah, the temperature and the heat waves played no part in this experiment at all. Oh, okay.
Oh man, I don't know if you saw
okay, time to head over to us.
Yeah, so we're like, okay, that's it. I'm done. I want to go be with my friends. And I actually really wanted to go on and help with the next experiment, which was the boat experiment. And I really, really wanted to do it. I was like, if I did anything that day, that's what I really wanted to do.
But did you know at that point what they had in mind for the boat?
I had no idea until I got there.
Yeah.
And I ran up all excited, like, yeah, I get to go. And then Greg comes up to me, and he walks, like, right when we get there, he walks up, he's like, don't do it, don't go, don't do it. And I'm like, why? And he just keeps going. And then I go look, and it's like, oh, geez, that tiny little rinky-dink boat. Like,
they bought.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so I'm going to frame it for you guys. I'm expecting that, you know, they had actually a real boat. They bought a raft apparently at a hardware store. This green, tiny little raft with a 1 horsepower trolling motor on it and a couple plastic oars. And they were filling it. You know, it wasn't even filled when I got there. They were just filling it with one of those air compressors. You know, one of those battery powered air compressors. And it's like, oh my! And I didn't know about this test. I didn't read through the second part. It's like, so the first part was just shooting long distance photography, shore to shore with what was it, 9 miles. And the second part, they were going to take this boat with people with another target and take it out 3 miles and shoot that and see if that lined up. But by the time Oh my God, the raft. By the time they got this thing done and the target was ready, you realize what they were up against because the wind was already picking up and was blowing towards the shore. You had this tiny little raft with a 1 horsepower trolling motor. And they were going to take 3 people. I thought they were only take like 1 guy or 2 guys tops, but they wanted one of ours.
Yeah.
And they came to us, and in fact, National Geographic came to me and they said, "Hey, they'd like a volunteer from one of the Flat Earth a group." And I'm going, "Hell no! Why that?" Okay, first off, we're not even supposed to be doing anything as far as this test. Like, and I told them, I said, "Look, I will represent the group. I trust them." They were say, "Well, you need to have someone to verify that we went out 3 miles." It's like, one, how are they going to even know that they're 3 miles? And 2, I don't care, because the first part of the test was such a soup sandwich that the second part is going to fail too. Meaning the first part had distortion. The second part is even going to have more distortion. So why? And the entire Flat Earth community knew this. Everyone after that first test pulled off the shore for the most part and just kind of stood underneath the picnic table overhangs and just waited for this thing to happen. And it was like a root canal watching that thing trying to get going because they weren't ready, and then they couldn't figure out. The wind was blowing the target around, which was basically this giant kind of flag thing. Right. And then when you realize it's like, oh yeah, by the way, they're going to take 3 people out there with this little tiny motor. They're going, this is a horrible, horrible idea. And then for whatever reason, National Geographic and you say your buddy saved them because none of us was going to go. And your guy, was he talked into it? Did he just volunteer? What the heck?
Well, here's what happened. On the way, where we're like, okay, let's go. And I wanted to be on the boat. So I'm like, let's go. Boom, we jumped the car. And I'm talking to Nathan, and he's like, oh, and I tell him, because I'm thinking it's going to be like a skib or like a aluminum fisher's boat or something.
Sale for
like there should be enough room for at least 4, 5, 6 people maybe, and probably has a good motor on it. So there's got to be a couple seats. And I'm like, I really want to go. And Jason's like, dude, I really want to go too. Like, let's do it. Let's go. And I'm like, cool. And so I call Nathan. Nathan says, oh, Lindsay's gonna go. Our friend Lindsay. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no way! Like, she's, and I told him, like, well, I mean, if she doesn't want to go, I'll go.
Right.
Just wait for me. Wait 10 minutes. I'm 10 minutes away. I'll go. And he's like, all right. And he goes up and he's like, hey, we have a guy. He's gonna be here in 10 minutes. He'll go. And I'm like, cool, awesome. So then we get there, and I go up to him like, hey, I heard you guys want somebody on the boat, and the guy looks at me and he's like, we need somebody a little bit smaller.
Right.
And because I'm a pretty big dude. I'm 6'1", like.
Oh yeah, no, you're not. But the point was, you're not a gigantic guy, so it shouldn't be a problem. But this boat is that small. We're talking a rubber raft.
It's that small. Yeah.
Yeah, this is like
Jason's maybe like $120 or something. You know what I mean? He's pretty.
I've seen rafts like this in large pools. Right? This is
I've seen bigger rafts in smaller pools.
This is not a recreational vehicle. This is just a stupid little. This is what you would blow up and you would go out to watch the hydroplane races or something. With beer.
Or have it packed up in case there's a flood and you need to travel down the street
you go.
To get out of there.
This
last ditch effort. I think Jason said it was literally like an emergency raft that you could put away on if your ship goes down or something.
Yeah. And I want to make something perfectly clear. National Geographic had nothing to do with the financing of this test. National Geographic's a class act. They spend a lot of money on things. They have a massive budget. They spent none of it on this. They were only there to film it, whatever the science group was doing. They even didn't really have that much contact with them. And I knew this because the Skeptics group actually wrote me an email just before I was flying out. And they said, hey, is anybody coming to this? And it's like, what? What are you talking about? And so they must have been floored when 30 flat earthers show.
Yeah.
That early in the morning. We outnumbered everybody.
Yeah. There's definitely more flat earthers than globies for sure.
Oh my God, definitely more than that.
And
So
we were dedicated. We went the night before, got hotels.
Oh yeah.
The whole
We
night.
freaking it wasn't any question. We represented.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so your friend gets on the boat.
Yeah.
And had to go torture. I mean, it was awful watching from the shore because it was taking so long, and nobody could really leave.
Oh, they got blown back in too. Remember the motor died? Like they were like 30 feet out, and they got blown back in by the wind.
Yeah.
It was terrible. So they went out, and I walk up, and I'm all excited. I'm stoked because we saw the freaking balloons on the ground, right? I was just head in the clouds. This is great.
Right.
And I walk up to the Nat Geo lady, and I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" She's like, "Good, how's it going?" And I'm like, "Awesome, that was great. We got to see the balloons when they were still on the ground." And she's like, she looks at me like with a scowl, and she's like, "No, that's not what happened. We didn't see them until they were 45 feet up in the air." And I said, "Excuse me?"
Well, you got to remember they didn't show her until they were 45 feet in the air. You got to remember she's just the correspondent, not picking on her, but she's the on-air talent. So it's like, okay, now you can look in the camera, and they showed her exactly what they wanted her to see in the camera. She was nowhere near it.
She wasn't. Okay.
When the balloons were still on the ground, because everyone was Nat Geo was still setting up their shots. They had all sorts of other work to do. So it was very selective. Nat Geo, in fact, had no responsibility to keep an eye on the Skeptics thing, because why would they lie? Why would they not show her the original footage of when they were testing? Yeah.
So she was completely unaware, and I'm like, well, if she doesn't know, like, does anybody know?
Yeah.
So I think I might have gone up to you, like, after that.
Yeah.
And I was like,
you
Mark,
started to walk up to everybody. I couldn't figure out why you and Sydney were so worked up.
Well, I actually didn't even see Sydney until like it was over.
Right.
She was like off to the right or something. I didn't even realize that was her. But yeah, I was pissed off. Like, what the heck is going on right now? Like, are they seriously trying to say they didn't see it? Like, I know they saw it. I was the one that helped them find it. Like, I saw it. I found it. I helped them find it.
Right.
And then we got the confirmation. Yeah, we got it. See it. Great. Let's do it. So I went over to you. I was upset. Like, what's going on? And I told you that they're saying they didn't see it. And then I went up to everybody else and told them, like, hey, like, did you guys know that we saw the balloons before they took off? And everyone's like, no, what are you talking about? Nobody had any idea. And I'm over here like, yes, we won. And everyone was like totally clueless and upset because I guess you got into it with Jim, like when they were doing it or something.
Well, I mean, for me, you got to remember, the whole reason. Remember, I refused to even go to this test the second I heard about it, because we've all, and I repeated it, and I'm going to repeat it again here. The Flat Earth community has been doing this test literally nonstop for 3 years, and we pretty much wrote the book on it. And one of the first things you learn is you do not shoot during hot weather. You don't do it. You don't shoot in the middle of the day, and you definitely don't shoot it in a salt lake in a desert when it was 100 degrees the day before. Yeah. You don't do it. You shoot in cold weather. You shoot at night. You shoot with lights if you can, lasers if you got them. And Jim, the guy that was leading it up, of course, National Geographic wants drama, so they put he and I across from each other, and I say. And I knew where he was going. He was no way. Remember, he is a professional skeptic. He doesn't believe in anything. Right. So I initially started off, and I said, "Look, you shoot at night. I go, you shoot in cold weather. You shoot at night." And the second I said shoot with lasers, he just lit up. He goes. Any laser that shoots over, where was it? 5 miles or 7 miles. Yeah, he says is illegal and can only be purchased from the military. And I go, and that's where we got it. And it's like, okay, well, and I said, not only that, and I point, and of course, National Geographic, and they can edit this part out. And I am a little wary about what they do, but it's not the team that was with us. It's not their part. They just shoot it. It's up to the editor in New York and the producer that's above to see how they're going to spin it.
Right.
The next thing I said was, look, I sent, because we did the pinnacle of all tests. which was out in Hungary with the military grade laser at 40 kilometers. I'm pretty sure that's what the final distance was. And it was sanctioned by the Guinness Book of World Records. I said, look, I sent a 100-page report to National Geographic before we even came out here, days before, earlier in the week, right? Sent it to the producer. Yeah. And he goes, I don't want to see the report. Report doesn't mean good. I want to see video. And then I said, very calmly, I said, and of course we have video. And he goes, that video is not valid. That video is illegitimate. He goes, you have to come here and do it in front of us. And it's like, okay, I see what's happening here. You're just going to keep backpedaling until I have nowhere else to go. Mm-hmm. And it's like, even if I brought a laser, I guarantee I know what he'd do. I guarantee it. Even if we brought a laser, had FE Corps, did do a thing. And by the way, if FE Corps is listening, do not ever do anything out that sea, ever. It's a horrible, horrible place, and you never ever go up to
worst location ever.
It's worst location ever. It is basically a clinic of what not to do when you're doing this test. I mean, it's every mistake you'd ever want to make. They did here. It was awful.
Yeah, but they're like, oh, by the way, don't let any water in your mouth because you'll die.
yeah. Well, there's that.
Like toxic conditions, like everything. It was terrible.
Yeah, you don't swim in this lake. It's an awful. There's not a lot of water skiers out there. No, not a lot. So if even if you brought a laser, they would have said, oh, you can pop that laser off at 1 foot off the ground. And for obvious reasons, because they'd hope to God that it gets chopped up by the waves.
Right.
And, it'd be like, why can't we shoot it at 3 feet? Why can't we shoot it at 6 feet? They would have done anything they can to have sabotaged it because they, that's their job. They didn't want to do this. So, yeah, there was a little drama, but that was just it. There were so many of us that even when the cameras stopped, we just kept going. I mean, it was like, if the on-air correspondent was within earshot, we had one of our guys on him. If the producer was around, we were talking to him. And the blue shirts, we were talking to them nonstop. It was like I felt for Jim a little bit under prep because he was, every time anyone saw him alone on the beach, there was one of our guys was walking up to him.
Yeah,
and saying, "Hey, I want to tell you a few things."
Yeah.
He was just getting
I wandered over there and I was checking out, what the gear that they were using for the boat experiment. And then I was talking to a couple other flat earthers like right there. And then I heard you and Jim kind of getting into too. And I got closer and I heard what the things that he was saying. And I was just like, oh man, heck no. and then that was when me and you were just going at it with Jim. Yeah. And they got that on camera. I don't know if you saw that CBS the CBS footage.
They did.
And yeah, they got me talking to Jim, and I'm like, because he's trying to say, oh, you guys were higher than you were, and so that curvature math isn't right, so it doesn't even count. Right. And I'm like, no, I mean, you're right. The height is different. All you got to do is plug in the numbers, bro. It's that simple. Yeah. And it's that simple. And I did, and the numbers still didn't work out for them. We still completely destroyed them.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the new numbers, we still got them.
Absolutely. And I will release once you and I arrange. We'll go through the video and stuff. I don't know, later on this week.
Yeah.
And we'll put it up there. Long. Remember, the National Geographic piece isn't probably even coming out till October.
Right.
And by that time, we will have everything set up so well and I will absolutely send it to the producers over there and say, look, this stuff was shot at the beach, and if their team saw the balloons when they were on the ground and they saw the beach team, that means the curve isn't there. And if you edit this and leave all that out, it's your choice. It's your show. You can do what you want. And it's a science-based network. I totally get that. You will never be able to do another project with the Flat Earth community ever again. Ever, never.
You told them that?
No, that's what I'm going to.
Okay. Oh, okay.
No, it's true though. You can't. It's like, look, if the Skeptics group left it out and we catch them on it and we send it to you and you don't at least consider that in your program somewhere, if it's that obvious, if you're saying it's that obvious, then I'm sorry, we can't trust you. I mean, I will give people the benefit of the doubt. I will never let somebody burn me twice.
Yeah.
Never, ever, ever. I mean, they were perfectly nice to me, great, and the field team, I have no complaints with them at all, because I know, they just shoot a whole bunch of footage and they send it off to New York and do whatever. But they can also pass on the word, and that is, you got to understand that what was shot out there was what we expected, what we knew was going to collapse. Anyway, we have 30 seconds to the second break, and we'll take. You want to stay with me for the next segment? Okay. We'll take phone calls. I know we got a bunch stacked up. We'll do probably San Antonio 210 first, Twin Cities second, maybe Beverly Hills third, looking at Sandusky, Ohio, Arizona, Indiana, Houston, and whoever comes in after that. Phone number, of course, is 213-233-3998. That's 213-233-3998 or 720-897-6111. And the call-in number, I think, has changed, but I'm not going to read that off right now because, hey, there's music. So 3 minutes. Be right back. Dude, mute your mic.
Hi, my name is Ella.
Wherever you are, make it Truth Frequency Radio.
Primary target the ICBM complex at Laputa. Switch all receiver circuits to CRM discriminators. What's cooking on the threat board? Nothing. Alright, tell you what you better do, old buddy. You better give Elmo and Charlie a flash and bump everything up to condition written. Stand by the floor on the base. Major Kong. Major Kong? Hey, what about Major Kong?
Clear and plain and coming through fine.
What about
It's great to be fine.
What about Major
What's
Kong?
happened? You see the string in my leg scar.
What about Major
I
Kong?
never told you.
Hey, what about Major Kong?
Welcome back to Strange World, part 3 of 4. And that little track, of course, one of my favorites from Chip Baker, who makes original, cool little intros and outros for me. I always like what he does, mixing music sound bites with original tracks. Anyway, we got Nathan Gonzalez with us from the Salton Sea Skeptics test. And we were going over how the whole thing was just a freaking soup sandwich and really terrible. And the physical conditions were awful. I had to stay there till almost noon. And you're saying almost noon? That's terrible. Well, I got there before 5.
Yeah.
And it was, and by the time it was noon, it was already over 90 degrees. And I think it was 105 by the time I got to lunch. And it was great. I love the fact that National Geographic took care of me. And, again, like that, I am a little more than nervous about how it's going to be edited. But at the same time, maybe we can counteract that, between you and me and all the other footage out there. At least, at the very least, I will send the stuff to them and say, look, it's not what you think. Your correspondent saw the balloons when it was 45 feet up, but only because she was told to look when it was 45 feet up, and the heat on the water was extreme. And both balloons, I love your point that both balloons exploded from the heat.
Yeah.
So it's like that test should have never been done. That lesson to anyone that's out there, guys. Don't do the test when over warm water or any warm conditions. Cold weather, nighttime, lasers if you got them.
Yeah. Had any flat earther put together that experiment, it never would have ended up there. No flat earther would have ever picked that location.
That's just it. I would have, again, why I refused the test at the beginning and was resistant all the way up until the end. It's like, why would we don't do tests there anymore. I try to tell people, look, we don't do tests over warm water like that anymore. We just don't do it. Yeah, you can shoot ships, but that's over ocean. And by the way, we probably shouldn't let that out. I will take the first phone call here in 1 second, which is we shouldn't leave that out. This was, for the test, the Skeptics Society was based in Los Angeles. And it was something, an Angel mentioned, which was very
Astute.
Yeah, astute. That's good. Thank you. Which was, I don't know. Why didn't you shoot anywhere along the ocean that borders, including the Catalina Island thing? Why did you go to a salt lake 2 hours away from, to the east of the city, where it's in the desert, where the heat is just incredible? Why? And that's because you can't make things disappear on the ocean. You shoot the Catalina Island. Well, that island's either going to be there or it's not, and you're going to have to explain that. And then you're going to have to elevate the camera at some point. Yeah. I'd say it was either a stroke of good luck, but either the stroke of luck was that they didn't have the test ready in time. Yeah, that's the fortune favored them that morning. That's absolutely for sure. Anyway,
and our stroke of luck was that I ended up over there.
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't want to go over there, Mark. I wanted to go hang out with you guys and hang out with my friends and stuff. Like,
well, hey,
but I
didn't go. If let's put it this way, if National Geographic hadn't told me I had to go, I wouldn't have gone. I wouldn't have, because it was like it's a stupid ass test. If it would have been nighttime, I would have gone to a laser test. I would have been happy. I would have been thrilled. They'd be like, okay, fired up. I know exactly what's going to happen there. We've done this so many times. We could have. I predicted every single thing here. Not because I'm some sort of prophet, but because we've done it. I've watched so many P900 water shot videos. I don't know how many hundreds of hours of videos I've watched. Right. It's like, yeah. I know what's gonna happen here, and this is rookie. This is Dave Small. All right, let's grab
Mark, real quick. We should tell him about the girl that we met at lunch.
Oh yeah. Let's mention that real quick. Okay, so you guys have probably heard mentioned different stories about how I run into people that are into flat completely unsolicited, like one of the security guys at the Atlanta airport, or a bartender at a restaurant at a debate that I was at, and people say, "No, those are fake stories." Like, no, they're not fake stories. Or the contractor that was working on a deck here on Whidbey Island of all things, who saw me, and it's like, "Dude, I've been following your work for 3 years." Really? It's like, wow, it's incredible. And we go to just this random vegan restaurant. Why all the flat earthers are doing vegan? I get it. That's fine. It tastes good. All that. Not exactly what I would do every day, but that's fine. And we go to this random vegan restaurant in Palm Springs, and we by the time we show up there, we're talking about your dedicated people. Even after all the hell we went through, there were still 15 people at this thing. Yeah. And we get there, and the cashier, she's looking at me. In fact, who was the one that finally spotted her? That she's looking at.
I don't know. Maybe it was Nathan. I'm not sure.
Looking at us.
Somebody went to pick up their food, and I think she asked them, like, "Hey, are you guys
flat earthers? Yeah, are you guys flat earthers, right?" And I look over and I point. I go, "Wait." I go, "You're flat." And I hold up my hand sideways, the symbol, and she holds up her hand sideways. It's like right on. Dude, boyfriend too. We're really into it. I said, wow. That's really
that
awesome.
Was hilarious. I guess she saw like everybody's shirts and stuff, and they were like, "Do you recognize this guy over here?" And I guess they were fairly new flat earthers.
Yeah. Yes.
And she had no idea who anybody was. Like, you, Rob. They're like, "Oh man." I told her, like, you're gonna trip out when you look Mark or Rob up on there.
Yeah, people was sitting with us until he was a couple people down from me.
Yeah,
and it was amazing because again, there's flat Earth is huge, it's monstrous, but most of the members are closet people that they just don't know who to talk to. But I mean, so that's what my fourth random person I've run to in as many cities.
Yeah,
just random people just run into them, and it's like, okay, do the math, do the odds. They're everywhere. So,
yeah,
great. All right, let's grab a phone call or two and see what's going on. We got like 20 minutes to the break, and we can pump through them. This one's going to be 210 area code. I'm sorry you've been holding so long. Where are you calling from, and what do you got?
Hey, I'm from San Antonio. My second time calling in, or third.
Cool.
Yeah, I just was like interested in your whole flat Earth theories, and you were curious as to the explanation of the double slit experiment.
Yeah.
And in its relation to, us all projecting and condensing, the the world or the recurring wavelength, as you could put it.
Oh, right. Oh, no, I remember you. You're the super chill woman who was like hypnotizing me the last time you called.
No, I'm a super chill, hypnotizing dude.
Dude? Uh-oh.
I'm a guy. No, it's okay.
Sorry, I'm reading the caller ID.
Yeah, I'm a dude, man.
Oh, okay.
But, nonetheless, very chill.
Okay.
I like to think. But, yeah, I love your show. And I was curious, you're a guest right now?
Yeah, Nathan Gonzalez. Yeah.
Nathan.
Yeah, hey, how's it going, buddy?
He's going very well, sir. Thank you. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Cool. You're familiar with vacuum tube technology, son?
Vaguely. I was a musician, so I dealt with vacuum tubes and amps and stuff like that.
Are you familiar with rodent coil technology? And topology and all that?
No, to be honest with you, I don't think so.
Oh, wow. Yes, sir.
Oh, what vacuum tube technology? What relating anything to like flat Earth
or just stuff?
Yeah, well, I have a thing. I mean, I was just curious as to where like vacuum tube technology, like hydrogen fusion, like reaction chambers.
Yeah.
You know, for freaking like for absorbing radiation in the ocean, for instance. Like, I don't know. I was just curious as to where that stuff was.
I don't know, but I'll tell you what. We'll come back to that. Tell you what. Let me get through a few more calls, and appreciate you calling. But tonight we're gonna do most, if not all, flat Earth. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Talk to you soon. Okay, let's jump over to 612 area code out of Minnesota. 612, are you there?
Hey, Mark, long-time listener, annoying caller every week. Wesley State's Flat Earth News Talk. Wait for it. Go.
Wes, why do you keep calling? I swear to God, the restraining orders are going to pile up.
I'm getting quite a few. I think I'm going to make a book out of it.
Yeah. What's up?
Yeah. Hey, just calling in to say hello and throw my 2 cents in. Hello to Nathan.
Hi.
Hello. Yeah, I was watching a lot of the stuff that everyone's been posting, and it just blew my mind that they kept on stalling, and I just could not believe it. It's freaking me out. Why they would do that? Well, why they would do it is because they know. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. But if you recall, Mark, when you were on my show last, we had our PhD on, Rodrigo, and he said, I'm going to throw out your line. Right now it's like 3:30 in the morning. He is listening. He was going to call in, but I thought I'd throw it up here for him. He threw an idea out, and he said, my idea is the oven test is so much simpler. Go to anywhere in Kansas or Florida, get 2 points some 40 miles from another with the same altitude each, with a telescope or a P900, and point them at each other. If you can see each other, problem solved. Can be done in Salt Lake Flats or Utah.
Sure. Well, preferably if it's cold, if it's during a cold season in Utah, though. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I think the weather, I mean, I just don't get, I mean, I'm sure they probably know, and that's why they did it, because they know that barometric pressure and all that stuff has a huge
it has a massive effect on it. Absolutely. Any photographer will tell you, if you're on a road and it's hot, your visibility is extremely limited because, you're just going to see massive heat distortion on that road. You take that same road, you chill it down to 40 degrees, and you can see a lot farther. And you just apply that same principle to water. That's what we're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to let you go on with other calls. I just
Okay.
had to throw in my 2 cents.
Thanks, man. Awesome. Thanks.
And very soon, I may be able to start meeting you guys up at these long-distance meetups, because I just put my 2 weeks' notice in. I am out of this place. I'm going back to remodeling. I've already contracted. I contracted a few jobs, so I'm going back to remodeling.
Cool. Right on. I have a quote before you go.
All right, go ahead.
It goes a little something like this: be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. That's from Oscar Wilde.
Hey, now that goes perfectly with what I just said.
I know, right?
I am going to be myself. I am a contractor, and I do remodeling, and that's what I do. I love to do it, and I do it well. So.
All right, man. Hey, you keep being you, and we'll talk soon, okay?
All right. Take care. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, we'll go right down the line. Let's go to 419, area code 419. You're on live with Strange World and Nathan Gonzalez, of all people. So what's up?
Hey, what's going on, Mark? It's Marty. Hey, it's a little bit quieter today.
A little bit, yeah. Oh my gosh, that's right. I'm sorry. I forgot. You might be working. Do you have your welding hat on right now?
Oh, no, I'm not welding right now. I'm at work, though. I'm doing something different.
Okay.
Yeah, I checked out the experiment, and I really want to see what you guys were talking about with, like, what Nathan was talking about when they could see the balloon and stuff, and you guys put those videos out.
Right. I mean, the short version is this, is that you shouldn't, from 9 miles, you should not be able to see the shoreline at all. And the whole point of them having the balloons was they were going to raise it up because they thought, well, we won't be able to see them on the shoreline because the curvature of the earth. And then they realized when they were trying to set up the experiment that they could. Yeah.
No, I know what you mean. I just kind of...
It kind of worked out, too, the first debacle with the balloons not being inflated all the way. Because it was like while they were kind of readjusting that I kind of like took things over and started doing the whole FaceTime thing. And it's kind of perfect.
Well, do you have a channel yourself, Nathan?
I do. I don't have very much on there, and it's kind of different stuff. But yeah, it's bipolar, BIPOLAR Flat Earth on YouTube. And Nathan Gonzalez. I have a couple videos. Okay. I have a couple videos, and they're kind of different. I mean, but I'm gonna be me and Mark are gonna try and get this video out as quickly as possible, and I'm gonna be posting it on my YouTube, and then we'll be able to get it out to everybody.
Well, I'm gonna keep it short. I just want to do a shout out.
Go ahead.
I'm going to do a shout out to all my Diablo 2 players, man. We got a ladder reset. I'm hoping Mark gets down with us.
Oh, man. It'd be tempting, but unfortunately, I don't think I could ever recreate the character that I had years ago, my 99 Paladin. Don't think I could do it.
It can happen.
I don't know.
I'm going to make that character. When the reset, I'm going to make a Flat Earth one and try to make it to 99.
Nice. That's really, really cool. All right, man. Do you want me to put you on mute?
All right, well, you take care.
Do you want me to put you on mute, or do you want me to kill you?
Yes, sir. I'm mute. Thank you.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.
Yep. Okay, let's jump right over to 520. Wow, could not speak just then. 520 area code in Arizona, I think. 520, you're up. 520. Are you hearing me? Is your mute button on, son? Key your handset twice if you can hear me. Yep, we're going to mute him. And we're going to go right back to 812 area code. You're on with Strange World right now.
Hey, Mark. It's Chris from Seymour.
Hey.
Indiana.
Hey, what's going on in Indiana?
Just had a tornado come through not too long ago, the next county over from me, so that's what's going on here.
Awesome.
Holy moly.
That's great.
Everybody alive? Everybody survived?
Yeah, it was like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes from here. So.
Well, that's not too bad, I suppose.
Yeah.
Did you have to go in the shelter?
Oh no. Well, you really don't have those in trailer parks.
Oh, well.
You just gotta kind of hang on and hope you make it, I guess.
All right. That's fair and honest.
But, anyway, I seen that video you posted. Well, I watched the live stream of the experiment that Rob Skiba did with Jaron.
Yeah.
So I seen the whole thing, you know, and as soon as you released that video today, and what was it, ABC News or something like that,
ABC.
you know, and I commented on there and said, well, we knew that's how they're going to spin it. You know, they were going to spin it anyway, and at least we're getting the word out and, you know, good publicity and all that stuff. But it wasn't.
Good. See, even though, you know, and I will say this, and thank you for reminding me of that, which is even though National Geographic will probably come, remember, it's a science-based network. They will come at us with knives.
Oh, yeah.
They're still covering us. And there will be people there. Yeah, a lot of their audience will be like, well, those dumb flat earthers. But in that group, there will be people that will look us up. And when they do, well, you know, it's I equate it to like shooting wooden arrows into a bonfire. It looks from the outside like you're doing something constructive, but really you're just making the fire bigger. So, whatever.
Oh yeah, that's what. Yeah. And somebody commented from Australia that said, well, Chris Lee, if you would have watched the whole live stream, you would have seen that toward the end, Mark himself admitted that he couldn't see the balloons. And I just thought, good God.
I don't think I
couldn't see it. Which I didn't know if you did or not.
If I did, I would have just predicted. Because remember, that was the whole point. It's like, look, the balloons are going to be behind the distortion. That's the whole reason the balloons were there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
and
that's what I, you know.
Yeah. At 4 a.m, that distortion wouldn't have been there. We could see the lights of the buildings on the other side when we first got there. First thing in the morning, you could see the lights on the other shore, which were down at beach level. And by 8 o'clock in the morning, there was so much heat you couldn't even see the buildings. Forget about the lights. There was entire sections of beach that you couldn't see anymore. Anyway, anything else?
Well, just real quick, I didn't know if you knew this. You know who Gus Grissom is, of course.
Yes, I am aware of Gus Grissom.
Well, did you know he was from Mitchell, Indiana?
I did.
About an hour away from me. Well, there's a place called Spring Mill, and you can go there. And I was with my family and my kids, and we were just enjoying the park. And I looked over and see this big building that said Gus Grissom on the side of it. Oh. So I go in there, and it's actually a museum for him. And it has the Gemini 3 capsule, the real one, and it has his real spacesuit in there.
Wow.
Okay, so I got to see that in person, and the spacesuit looked like it was a mechanic's jumpsuit or something.
Yeah, yeah,
so
those early
paper thin.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They people really believe that thing would.
Yep. Yeah, the early spacesuits were skin tight. They looked like motorcycle suits. And
that's what it looked like.
Yeah. In fact, spacesuits have changed so much, and yet none of them failed. They all worked perfectly, and yet they kept making these huge radical changes to them. It's like, why? The ones those motorcycle suits seem to work just great. Why don't you keep using those?
Yeah, why would you make it bulkier and heavier? You know, why would you do all that when you could just use a thin, easy mobility? You know what I mean? Why would you make it bigger? And
absolutely.
That makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. Wow. Anyway, any shout outs?
Hey, I'm going to get off here. It's getting late.
Okay.
But Nathan, I don't know you, but you must be cool. You're a flat earther, so that's all I got to say about that.
Thanks, buddy. You sound pretty cool, too.
All right, man. You have a good one.
All right, guys.
Try to stay away.
You too, buddy. We'll talk to you later.
Tornadoes.
Tornadoes.
Yep. I just cut him off. Eddie M. It's a twister. All right, let's do 281. This may be the last call before the break, which is 281 area code. Are you on? 281.
How you doing, Mark?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's going on? It's your boy Ron coming live from H-Town. Still out here hot, sweating like Floyd sweating like Floyd Mayweather at a spelling bee. Just kidding. Had a couple quick questions, Mark. Mark, I'm not gonna keep you long. So, question number one: what do you think is gonna happen when this Antarctic treaty finally gets broken? Because I think like there's gonna be a country that just goes over there and like I say, that circle.
I don't think anyone's the problem with the Antarctic Treaty is that there's too many countries that are tied to it. So let's say you came up with a new country called Ronald, and we'll just call it that. And this country, you wanted to go in Antarctica, you couldn't just barge your way in there. There's too many other countries that you would have connections to. They would try to stop you in one way or the other. There's too much red tape. You can't do it. Sorry.
Wow. Because I mean, Antarctica, the circle's kind of big, and it surrounds us all. So I was just curious, and because I think I believe Donald Trump, he's an undercover flat earther because he keeps calling out NASA on stuff.
That would be nice. The treaty's officially not up for review until 2041, and it is the only unbroken treaty in the history of treaties. So I don't know. If I was a betting man, I wouldn't put folding money on it. Anyway, what's your next question?
Next question. Break down the so-say fake curvature of the Earth. It's 8 inches per mile squared, right?
Right. So that's 8 inches per mile per mile. Sort of like 32 feet per second. So 8 inches times whatever distance you're looking at times itself. So if it's 3 miles, it's really easy. So if it's 3 miles, it's 3 times 3, which is 9.
Which is 9.
Times 8 inches, which is 72 inches, which is basically 6 feet. And it gets more and more extreme. So let's say it's 10. That's 10 times 10, which is 100 times 8, which is 800 inches. That's a way bigger difference, even though it seems like it shouldn't be. And it gets worse from there. And we don't see any evidence of that anywhere ever.
Okay, because like I say, science is in trouble or whatever. As you say, more and more flat earthers are starting to come out the closet, and like I think in my lifetime it's going to be I don't know, some kind of uprising or something. I'm predicting it. That's what I believe.
I believe so too, man. I think we're there. So. I'm meeting flat earthers randomly every trip I go on, and I think they're all out there. I think the Flat Earth Army is huge, and it's hidden and has a lot of potential.
Yeah, I need to get me some flat earth gear. And one more thing before I go off. How do I get on the chat group with you got Flat Earth and other hot potatoes? The chat group with you and Patricia Steer.
Email Patricia Steer. Miss Steer at yahoo.com.
Okay. All right, man. Shucks, man, and that's about it, man. That's all I really wanted to, so say holler at you about, man.
You're listening to the Truth Frequency Radio Network.
No hate, no hype, no fear.
Welcome out to Strange World, part 4 of 4. Yeah, that was Joe Jackson stepping out from his album, Night and Day. Quick reminder that tomorrow I am going to be with Patricia Steer, Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes, at 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 Eastern, and we're going to be talking Salton Sea, Skeptic Experiment, pretty much wall to wall. And there could be some special guests, but you should check it out to find out. I'm not going to spoil that here. Should be a fun show. All right. Still have Nathan with us. Nathan, you still there?
Still here, buddy.
Perfect. Let's do as many calls as we can before this whole thing shuts down. Oh, boy, we got a lot of calls.
Oh, real
through.
Quick.
Yeah.
He was talking about the curvature calculation or whatever. And for the 9.6 miles, it comes out to 61.44 feet.
Perfect.
Of curvature.
Honest. Yeah.
If you raise the observation, if you raise the height of the observer, it comes out to 15, which is still way lower than what the balloons were. So
got it. Perfect.
We win.
Yeah, of course we did. Again, it was just I was just irritated that I was there, but since I was doing a big interview, it's like, I mean, it's kind of a mixed feeling, bittersweet for me. I was like, yeah, I get to do the interview, but at the same time, when you know you're going to be taking a hit for the team, simultaneously, it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's and it was hot. I think that was the thing I was complaining about most. It's like I had to get up early and it was hot.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's go over to 443 area code. 443, you're on with Strange World. What's going on?
We'll leave the TV and the radio behind.
Really?
I knew that that once I heard that you played Joe Jackson on your radio show, I had to tune in every week just to hear Joe Jackson. That's one of my favorite 80s shows.
I love his video. It was one of the first videos that I ever saw on MTV. I thought it was very well done for early 80s. But what's interesting is, he went back on tour in 2017. So the original version I can't use anymore. I have to use a digital cover, but the digital cover is pretty damn close. So, everyone knows what it is. They just can't hear Joe because he's back on tour, and now he blocks anybody using his stuff because he
Really? There's nothing even on YouTube? You couldn't pirate something off of YouTube?
Well, no, I can, but it'll eventually get knocked out. It'll get
okay.
It'll get blocked, and I don't mean copyright. It's not like a strike or anything. He just blocks it. So whatever.
That's true. All right. Well, hey, this is Travis, and I've got a YouTube channel called The Plain Truth. And so I was working on an episode today, and I want to run it by you. The thought that I was thinking, I was talking with a friend of mine who's heliocentric, and he brought up the Verrazano Bridge that connects Staten Island to Brooklyn.
Sure.
And so I was looking at the wiki information on that, and it says in the description that the construction of the bridge took into account the curvature in the construction, which was like back in 1954 or something like that, so that there are two towers along the 2.5 mile stretch that are 1,300 meters apart from each other, and they are 1 5/8 inch apart at the very top.
Yeah,
so
not buying it. Yeah.
That right? No, I know, but I've been trying to think through because my friend's bringing it up as and what he did was he sent me his calculations for trig, working backwards. So, according to him, he's not presupposing R, and he's just simply working with the math. And he says the math works. The math absolutely works, so that the radius is proved by the fact that it's actually. But here's my question, because I had never thought about this before. So when we talk about 8 inches per mile squared, the drop, the curve, in my mind, doesn't start until the mile. Every point away from you, it's already curving. But in my mind, as I've talked about this and as I've thought through it, I've never thought about the mile. So how would you respond to that thought?
He's right. The curve, if you believe in the mainstream model, yeah, of course, the curve starts anywhere. Wouldn't be matter if it was a mile, if it was 100 yards, if it was an inch. Technically, there would be some sort of fraction of a curve somewhere. But and I understand his math, but the math isn't going to save him because visually we can never see it. Professionally, it's never used. Militarily, it's never used. Every single person that I've ever talked to along these circles has all said the same thing. We've all heard about it. We all understand what the drawings are supposed to be. We understand, and some people understand the math, although most people don't. I mean, most people don't get to trig. But nobody uses it practically, ever, in anything. And if somebody says, "Oh yeah, the bridge actually uses this," fine. You want to say that, you can, but visually we can find just about any other instance and go the other way with it.
Yeah.
So,
No,
sorry,
I mean, I can
that's my
think
answer.
through it along those. Sure.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things too that I was thinking about, I'm just about to pass over the Tidings Bridge, which is on the JFK in Maryland, and it's a mile long, so it crosses the Susquehanna, and it's pretty much a mile exactly. So I was thinking to myself, well, wait a minute, if that's the case, because again, the Verrazano Bridge, the two towers are 1,300 meters apart, so that's less than a mile, so that there's curvature. There would then have to be, on the Tidings Bridge, curvature. So it would be interesting, even though there's no shoulder and you couldn't do it, but to find out how level the bridge is itself. Just thinking outside of,
No. I absolutely hear you. I do.
Yeah.
I got to remember, one of the reasons I don't worry too much about friends like yours is because the math. You got to remember that even the basic math of 8 inches per mile squared glazes people over. And I mean by that 90-something% of people out there. Most people don't even, when I say 8 inches per mile, they get that. They can get that far. And then I go squared and they immediately go back to junior high algebra and everything they forgot. And if they don't get that, I'm sorry, anybody that even hints trigonometry, I go, hey, you can talk trig all you want. Your audience is gone. There is no audience for trigonometry. It is a fraction.
No, this guy's the audience for it. He was totally geeking out. He had it all scribbled out on his napkin, and he knows trig.
Yeah, I'm just saying that he is in a rare air when it comes to math skills.
Okay.
Most people don't know trig. So when any globalist, and I get what you're saying, if any globalist came at me and said, hey, I've got some trig formulas I want to tell your audience, it's like, go ahead. They're just going to hear static. That's all they're going to hear. Anyway, I gotta jump to another call from New York. Any closing remarks from you? Anybody? Amy?
Live flat and prosper.
Nice. Very good. All right, man. We'll talk soon. All right.
Take care, Mark.
Bye. All right, we're going to jump straight over to 845 area code, and that's in New York. Start spreading the news.
Hey, Mark.
What's going on?
Hey, Mark. Long-time caller, long-time listener, long-time stalker. How are you?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. I have to keep extra flashlights around my bed just because of you.
Yeah, I would. Well, I saw you put one by the pepper spray.
Yeah. And that's scary because
hey, Nathan, how are you?
I have a fireman fantasy sometimes.
I'm good. How you doing, bro?
Oh, yeah. Pretty good,
Fantastic.
pretty good. Beautiful night out, clear. I could actually see stars, and it was weird. They were spraying today, and I saw another. I don't know if you remember the GIF I sent you, Mark, with the spiraling chemtrail.
Yeah.
I saw another one today. That's weird. I don't know what the hell that is.
I don't know either.
Yeah. Hey, I just want to make it quick. I know you got other people. Awesome that you were there, Nathan, and caught them lying. That's freaking fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
And to be fair, we can't necessarily guarantee that all of them were lying, only that somebody knew that they could see it and then didn't say anything. It's like, okay, what's the term? They didn't tell the whole truth. Instead of saying
it's a lie of omission.
Yeah, instead of there you go.
Yes.
Lie based on omission. Yep.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
And wait till you see the footage, bro.
Well,
I mean, they are just flabbergasted. Like, don't even know. And you can hear.
Could be the
what do you mean?
brainwashing.
They
It's
see it. There's
forcing them to
curvature.
not
There's
see it.
curvature.
Yeah.
But I'm super.
But at least they tried,
ecstatic that I
and it blew up in their face. That was good.
Yeah,
that was good.
Cool.
A rude awakening.
Agreed.
See what the people here have been doing and trying to prove. And I'm going to say it again, and I know people hate me or whatever, but we've got to move away from lakes and land and everything and get to the coast. It has to be the ocean. Because there's no arguing. Because if we use, like they were saying, Utah or Kansas or whatever, we know it's flat, but that could be a flat section on the globe. The lake could be on a flat section of the globe. Let's get to the coast. Let's do the east or west coast. I mean, I've been to Myrtle Beach a bunch of times, and I can see things, the hotels that are 20 miles away, and you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
So if we could do something like that, that'd be fantastic. That's
Yeah,
what
we're actually
awesome.
in the talks right now of doing another experiment ourselves. First we want to go back. We want to go back to Salton Sea with an altimeter and get the exact measurement of how high and how high the observer was, like exactly. Because if you watch the video, I'm asking them like, does anybody know like what our altitude is right here? Just because I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to do the math. And Wendell asked the guy like, is there any way to figure out the altitude?
Everything's based on sea level.
And he's like, no, there's no way. No, there's no way. It's like, yeah, there's a way. We just need a simple tool
and find out.
Yeah, I'm sure Jerry could have done it on Google Earth. I think he could just like point and click and it tells you the altitude or something like that.
That's what I'm saying. It would have been simple to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's still awesome, though. It's still awesome that there was people there, coverage, people are talking about it. It's fantastic. That part I'm totally thrilled about.
Yep. It was very cool.
Hey, and I'll let you go, and we got other people.
All right, man.
Awesome.
Hey, it was nice talking to you.
I got a quote.
What is it?
I got a quick quote.
Okay.
Perhaps the truth depends on a walk around the lake. Wallace Stevens.
All right. And I have a quote for you, which is, nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I'm possible. That's from Audrey Hepburn.
Nice.
I did not know that about Audrey. All right, man. We'll talk soon, okay?
Awesome. Keep it up, Mark. Shout out to everybody. And awesome job, Nathan. Good thing you were there.
Thank you,
out. Nice to meet you.
Bye, guys.
All right. Bye.
All right, let's jump over to 512 area code. 512, you're on with Strange World. What's up?
Hey, Mark, it's Chip. How you doing?
Hey, it's Chip Baker.
Yeah. Hey, Nathan, how you doing? Good to hear from you guys. Was pretty much expecting what you all got out at the Salton Sea. It's a pretty brutal place. You would have had a lot more fun if you went over to Slab City. I think it was... Flat Earth Uber suggested that would be a good place to go. I saw a good National Geo write up on that place, which is pretty cool. This is a little off topic, Mark, but for some reason that triggered my memory. I was out in California for some years, and I met this guy, and he claimed to work for Tesla, and he claimed to be the carbon fiber guy who was actually building the Orion capsule. And this was some 4 to 5 years ago. And this story can actually be checked out. It turned out he was the father of the girl who sang in my nephew's band. My nephew played drums, and they actually did pretty well, played at the House of Blues, and there's videos on YouTube and so forth. But I got to talking with the guy, after some of the shows, and he told me how he was the only guy that was allowed to work on the Orion capsule, and he was the carbon fiber guy. He could build anything you wanted out of carbon fiber. A very pragmatic guy, right? The kind of guy who could easily kick the can down the road very naturally without even trying. That occurred to me after I thought about all this. It's like, sure, you get a guy like this. Oh, only this guy can build this, right? And we're talking about the Orion capsule, so we got the best guy on the job. He's just some guy who's just doing his job. You put the disconnect there, you advertise that, and that's the perfect, science guy in the lab cover, which is one of the lab coat cover science wears. It's one of their cards they play. Oh, there's that bow tie on that guy, right? Science. So, and what have we heard about the Orion capsule? Nothing. Well, we know carbon fiber is not going to shield it from anything, any of the Van Allen belts, right?
Yeah, it's true. Very true.
Yeah, it was you knew Wayne Ottinger, and this is a real testimony. The guy's name is Ralph Hensley. His daughter's name is Casey Hensley. The band was called Chasing Norman. Go look it up on YouTube. You guys are really good Googlers. If you can track this guy down to actually working for Tesla and verifying that story via the internet, then there you go. Otherwise, it's just a rumor. But I met the actual guy. I've known him for a while. He told me the whole story, and you have to know something, I guess, about carbon fiber fab before you go lying about it to everybody you meet. Don't you think?
Yeah, I would think so. Yes, agreed.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, I'm also going to go ahead and let you pick up some more calls. Nice job, you guys, on the test and enduring the whole Salton Sea environment.
Yeah. All right, man. Thank you much for calling.
You bet. Flat people everywhere. All right.
See you, man. Bye-bye. All right, let's jump over to Alhambra, California. It's got to be Josh. What's going on, Josh?
Yo, what's up, Mark?
There it is. There it is.
Can you hear that guy in the background?
Hey, Mark, Dan the Waterman. Josh and I are making dinner.
Hey.
I'm over at Dan's and we're barbecuing.
Oh,
it was
right
great
on.
to see you, Mark. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for coming.
No, Dan, you did a wonderful job with the meetup. Everyone that was involved, we crushed it. The meetup couldn't have been better for not only National Geographic but CBS, and we represented, and it was a fantastic event. Loved it.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
Yeah.
No, it was a blast.
Yeah.
And then Sunday happened.
And then Sunday happened. Isn't that the truth? Then Sunday happened.
Yeah, Sunday was still a lot of fun, though. It really was a lot of fun.
Sunday, well, I will say this, it was a learning experience, and you were out there. You stuck it out with us. That was awesome.
Yeah. It was okay. So it was fun being around everybody.
Yeah.
And I must say it was a blast being able to argue with all those guys because they were like children.
Right.
They had to keep walking away.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I mean,
I was
okay,
talking to. Sorry, go ahead, Josh.
Go ahead, Josh.
Oh no, that's all right. Go for it, bro.
No. You. Okay. Either one. I don't care.
This is you, bro. It's your call. Go ahead, Josh.
Oh no, it's all right. Well, okay. So the dude Spencer, the guy that was walking around with the Diet Coke and the hat, I was talking to him. No, not Spencer. I was talking to Underdown.
Underprepped. Well,
Underprepped.
we call him Underprep.
So Underdown. I was talking to Underdown, right?
Yeah.
And I was talking about like the whole curvature thing, right? About okay, so it's curving away from us. So why aren't we seeing it curve? Like this lake is like 30 miles across. So we should, from the middle where we're looking, one way it should start curving, and the other way it should start curving at the same rate that it's curving away from us. And like, I got that, and it was funny because he said the phrase, "It's not a ball, but it's a ball that."
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Wait, you just said it's not a ball, but it's a ball."
Right. Right. I saw your video.
They
You
think
just put
it's-
out. I watched you. You put out that really short video on that. I caught that. It was good.
Like,
Oh,
that's
you,
just-
you recorded him, Josh? You got him recorded?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
Well, I was streaming on Pontius' channel while I was talking to these guys for like an hour.
Oh, cool.
And so last night I went and grabbed it off Pontius' channel and just chopped it up into different sections and stuff.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of really great conversations, and it was really cool. Honestly, probably the highlight for me, guys, was being able to chill with Rob Skiba, because I've always had great respect for Rob, and he is one hell of a person to get a hold of.
Oh my God, yes. He is really tough to get a hold of. Yeah.
He was super
And
nice.
so, yeah, no, it was fun. Dude, it was fun chat. It was fun being able to chat with him. Mark, it was great seeing you again, bro. That was awesome.
Oh yeah. We've
Nathan-
run into each other a few times now.
Yep. Nathan, you live like right next to me. I see you every other month.
Yeah. Still not enough. Still not enough.
And exactly. And you know what? It was really cool seeing Patricia as well.
Yeah.
Because that just made me laugh at so many things I have seen over the last year about her. Like just
Oh, I know. She's the most. She's probably one of the most feminine forms of nature I've ever seen in my life.
The poor woman practically melted.
I know.
By the lake.
I know.
My wife's tiny, and I told my wife like she's smaller than my wife.
Yeah.
She's so petite, but she's so graceful and elegant at the same time.
Yeah. She's a 40s movie star.
She's fantastic.
But yeah, so I actually so the girl that set up the experiment though,
Sydney,
the one that's with IIG.
Oh no, that one.
Sydney.
Yeah, the other one.
Yeah. Cindy. Isn't it Cindy?
Okay, so
well, the
Mark,
blonde girl
she's
was
a
ours,
flat
wasn't
earther.
she?
I thought she was
Well,
part
she
of their
was a flat earther, but she wasn't ours, Mark. She had no idea who we were.
How the hell's that work?
Yeah, from what I
Mark,
understand,
she had
she works.
no-
She was with them, and she proposed the experiment, and then somebody else the very same day proposed a flat Earth experiment too, and so they decided to go with it. That's the story that I heard. I don't know how true that is. I actually talked to her yesterday. I wasn't able to talk to her for very long, but I could be.
So
I don't know.
She wasn't one of ours. She's done projects with IIG before, and they were in like a meeting and just pitching ideas, and she threw her idea out because she has been wanting to get deeper into doing her own experiments anyway.
Yeah.
And she wanted them just to oversee, so it could be reviewed, so it could be legit. And then after a while, like when it came back, they were like, well, we're going to do it. And they pretty much just took over it. And that's when things started changing from her original plan.
Right. Because it was originally supposed to be over the land, right? It wasn't originally supposed to be on land?
Yeah. And it was originally supposed to be at night. But, okay, so she had no idea that anyone was showing up, man. She had no clue at all. Which I don't understand, because if she was chilling with Nathan Thompson the night before, I don't understand why Nathan didn't tell her. Because we all talked to Nathan at the meetup, and like there was quite a few of us that had said that we were going to be going out there.
Yeah.
He met her that night, bro. Like we had no clue who she was. All we knew that there was a flat earther that was on there, like that was with them.
No, Nathan. What I'm trying to tell you is that her, Nathan, and two of the other people from their team were chilling in the jacuzzi the night before the test.
Right. Yeah.
So that was Saturday night. After Friday night, after everyone already said like that we'd be showing up, I was just.
Oh, so you're wondering why Nathan
it would have
didn't tell
came
her,
up in conversation at least. Like, yeah, Nathan telling her like, yeah, there's like, yeah, tomorrow, like naming off some people that are going to show up or whatever, but I guess he didn't.
We met her when we got there, because Nate and me went up like right around the same time, and then Sasha and Lindsay and Jason went up too. But we met them at the restaurant, and they were still with IIG, and it was just, I mean, I didn't know who else was coming. I mean, because people said they were coming or
hey,
whatever.
guys, we got about a minute 45 for closing remarks. Anything on your side, Josh, before we close this thing down?
No, dude. I just want to let you guys know that apparently to this girl, we all the flat earthers wrote in like the freaking cavalry, dude. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah. The flat earthers for a 5:00 a.m. test on a Sunday in the middle of the freaking desert. If that's the sort of the enthusiasm was off the charts. If we can bring that to the table in something like that, nothing's going to be able to stop us. And National Geographic was actually concerned about that towards the end. They were asking some really heavy questions, like saying, "What if flat Earth gets so big that it can't be controlled anymore?" And like, why would you want to control it? What do you hope to do? What are you afraid of exactly?
What if we lose control of everything?
Yeah. That was the question. It's like, what happens? What happens to science if you win? Basically, if flat Earth turns in, it's like, well, we'll have to find out, won't we? Anyway, gotta let you go, Josh. I gotta say goodbye to Nathan and shut this thing down. Okay.
No problem, guys.
Right,
peace out. Have a good night.
See you later, brother. Have a good one.
All right. Anyway, Nathan, thank you very much. When we're done here, the music's going to cue in about 20 seconds, and then stay on the line with me for a while. Thank you for everybody that called in so far. Sorry I couldn't get to West Virginia, New York, North Carolina, Normal Virginia, and Oregon. We just don't have the time. There's not enough time in the rest of the show. But we'll do this again next week, and you can always email me at msargent23@comcast.net. And of course, I will be on tomorrow with Patricia Steer on Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. That's it. So, hey, Nathan, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Mike. I appreciate it.
Stay with me.
I will.
here representing not only the United States.
Get that bozo out of here! Come on, some treat chips could do a better job.